Okay, cool. So, welcome to tonight's call. We have Jacki here, who, as you guys all know, because I raved about her in our team page, she is a freaking rock star. I pretty much have said that she coined the "Hey Girl" messages on Team Fit Foundation, and that's something that we've kind of all followed. Um, a couple months back when I shared with you guys how to hit Success Club, like really close to the end of the month, a lot of those scripts and approaches to talking to people came directly from Jacki. Like she did voice messages and I verbatim typed them out as to what she said and shared them with you guys. She's definitely somebody who knows how to invite and talk to people. She has a background in recruiting, right? Technical recruiter before she became a full-time Beachbody coach. She's also my success partner, and she's just full of zest and good ideas, and I'm really excited to have her on this call. So I sent her the questions that we kind of had on inviting, and it's funny because before the call, she was like, "Can I swear on your team calls?" I was like, "Girl, you know me. Of course you can swear on these." Like, yes, all my coaches are fun. It's fine. So that being said, I'm going to let you take it away and kind of, we're super informal, go as you please, and anybody can just interject when you have questions or you can type them in. Thank you for making it, everybody. I know that the scheduling was kind of tough for some of you, so I really appreciate you guys being on this call. So go ahead, Jacki.
Yay! I'm excited to be here and excited to chat with you guys. A couple things. First and foremost, you guys are super, super lucky to have Tanya as your upline. I adore her so freaking much. And I know I've only known her now going on like 2 years, but she's a game changer friend. She's like that person that just makes you think bigger and like want to be smarter and just know things about life. So if you like need tips and tricks on how to organize your life or how to just like up your branding or anything on social media, she's your go-to. I steal everything from her. So I'm excited to be here, and she raves about you guys so much. It's funny, like just so many familiar faces already on this call. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. So really excited for that. And then really quickly, just a quick question. There's a fan right behind my computer. Is there like a weird sound coming from? Okay, so we're good there. I did tell Tanya, I was like, I get into super preacher mode a lot on these calls. I don't really have like anything specifically planned. Tanya had kind of asked to come on and talk a little bit about the hey girling and the invites and the follow-ups, which is something that I feel really, really comfortable with. So I'm excited to kind of share some things with you guys, my opinions on it. But if I start going too fast or if there's something specific that you hear and you want more info on, like raise your hand. I might not catch it in the chat. So just let me know if you want more information on anything. And then I did come super prepared and I printed off your questions because I got a printer like last week and I print everything now. So I will be answering those, but I wanted to kind of go over a couple things just to kind of give you the backstory on sort of where all this come from and then insert in the question. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. For anyone that is a newer coach, just to kind of give you a little bit on my backstory. First, it's super hot in Seattle right now. If you're here locally, I'm like so sunburnt. Like, I don't know if you guys can check that out. But so if you see me like playing with this, it's just because we're sweating a lot over here. But I have been a coach. I've been a coach for a little over 2 years now. I was in the corporate world. I had a lot of desires to climb the corporate ladder. That was kind of my goal coming out of college. I went to Western Washington University, had a job right away in technical recruiting. Was with that job for about 6 months and then moved over to the corporate world I was in like a staffing boutique and then I went over to the corporate side and was at the corporate world for a little over 4 years. And my plan was to kind of be a manager there, VP there, like run the place, be in the boardroom with my heels on, like doing my thing. And this business came up about halfway through that career. And the passion, the fulfillment, everything that I got from this was just way overloading anything I felt for that corporate job. And so it was really interesting to have that shift. And last August 2015, I left that job. And so my 1 year anniversary of being a full-time Beachbody coach is coming up on the 28th. So I'm super excited for that. And it's just been a crazy ride, you guys. Our team has just been exploding. We've had so much fun. We have going on about 300 coaches in the Balance Fit Foundation downline. And so these girls are just on fire. And a lot of this just comes from our passion for people. I think that's a huge thing that our team is really big on. And that all ties into the messaging piece, the networking piece, the hey girling, the invites, follow-ups. And what I want to be really, really clear on is, it's kind of funny. If you looked at like my Success Club record, I'm a Success Club 5 legend, meaning that I've hit Success Club 5 or more 24 months in a row, which is pretty cool. But I'm also not the girl at the top of the board every month. You're not going to see me getting 15, 20, 30 points, because that's really not my style or my team style. We're much more about consistency and constantly keeping the momentum flowing, the relationships going. We're much more about the person. We don't treat people like points. We don't treat people like, you know, I need you to sign up as a coach because I want a rank advance or anything like that. So a lot of my tips and a lot of kind of where I come from this really comes from the relationship piece, and hoping that that helps you in creating that consistent success as you go along. So you're not going to see me in like the mad dash phase, but that's sort of like our value, sort of what we do as a team. I think why we've seen a lot of growth over the last year and a lot of success as a unit. So with that, kind of what I came into this to talk about really was, you know, the three things are the big ones here: hey girls, invites, and follow-ups. I think they kind of go in a certain order, so I'm going to touch on them a little bit and just give you sort of my advice, but I also go a lot all over the place, so I kind of ramble and I preach a lot. So with that said, first things first, hey girls. I think that can kind of be one of the scary things for new coaches. The warm market's an easy one to tap into. It's people you already know. But it's when you start getting into that stranger danger zone where you're like, oh my gosh, like I have to send a hey girl to somebody I've never even met before, somebody I could have creeped on.
Sorry, let me just interrupt you for anybody who's not familiar with a hey girl message. It's basically the approach that we've taken when you talk to somebody, because most of Conquer Your Fitness Foundation, most of the team that we have here are women. And so you say, hey girl, and then you like do the whole little invite or spiel that you have based on your own verbiage. But that's what she means when she says hey girl messages. So for anybody watching that's like, what the heck are you talking about, that's what that is.
Yes, for me, so yeah, a lot of coaches in Beachbody call it the non-Beachbody message, or like the networking message, or like the starter conversation. I have a lot of screenshots that I'm going to show you guys, you will notice I start pretty much all of them with hey girl, exclamation, exclamation. So for me, I love just calling it like a hey girl message, because that's pretty much what it is for me. So, but yeah, you can call it whatever you want. And honestly, if hey girl isn't something you would say, please do not message with that. I think that's so important. I have coaches sometimes that will say, you know, I hey girl all the time. And I'm like, do you ever say hey girl in your real life? And they're like, no. And I'm like, please stop saying it in a message then. Like if you're like, yo, what's up? Then yo, what's up, people, or call it like a yo message or whatever. So the hey girl message, though, like really how that starts, there's two kind of categories there, right? You have your warm market of the people that you know, and then like we like to say like stranger danger because people like freak out, but it's just fun, you know. But at the end of the day, guys, just have fun with it. Think about how you would approach a person that you actually know, or a person you really just randomly bumped into the coffee shop. Like what would you say to them? How would you approach them? What's sort of your style? For me, it's going to be, if it's somebody I know, but maybe I haven't talked to in a while, it's going to be, hey girl, oh my gosh, like how have you been? Can you believe it's been 7 years since we played soccer together, or since we were in high school together, or since we saw each other, blah, blah, blah. Like, are you still playing? What's new in your life? Do you live around the area? And I keep it super simple. I'm really just thinking, if I saw them randomly, those are the questions I would instantly ask them. How have you been? You know, relating into the common ground of how we knew each other before. Are you still playing soccer? Do you still live around the Renton area? Like, are you, you know, practicing finance? I know you studied that in college or whatever. Bring in that common ground and then ask them a question. You know, how have you been? What's new? I saw on your profile that you got married. I saw that you got a puppy. I saw that you got engaged. I saw that you're raving it up at Wanderlust or whatever, you know, like whatever it is, connect in like kind of what you see that they're currently doing that shows, hey, I'm paying attention to you. I care about your life. And that's as simple as it gets. And then they respond back to you. And here's where kind of like the fun part gets. You get to control what that case of the conversation looks like, because you're matching them. You don't want to overthink it by saying like, oh my gosh, I have to sit here and think of all these questions I'm going to ask them. Like I have to constantly think of like how to keep the conversation going. No, you get to close out that conversation. And so basically if they respond back to you and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so great to hear from you. They ask you a question. They're wondering what's going on in your life. Match that pace, match that excitement, ask them questions back, but don't go into it thinking like, oh my gosh, I have a pen pal. Like you're not meaning to sit here and talk for the next, 45 months or whatever. Like, it's really meant to just say, hey, what's up? Let's make a connection. Let's network. After you guys have had that little bit of back and forth, close out the conversation. Do not invite them. Do not bring up Beachbody. Do not invite them to be a coach or anything like that. That is super salesy, and people are going to read right through that. The flip side, if they also bring up Beachbody to you, if they respond back to you and say, hey, oh my gosh, like, I see that you've been doing this fitness thing. What is it? Avoid it. And you're going to see, I have a screenshot where I show you guys this, where actually one of my coaches had did this, where I hey girled her. She messaged me back and said, how's Beachbody coaching? And I was like, it's great, but back to you. Like, how's your job? What's new in your life? She brought it up like 3 times, and I never invited her to be a coach. And it wasn't until later she came back to me and was like, what's 21 Day Fix? And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't ask you about this. So, you don't want to jump right into like the bait, because at the end of the day, they very well could be doing exactly what you're doing and just being nice. They could have gone over to your page and they're like, oh my gosh, Jacki messaged me. I should see what she's doing. I'm going to go to her page. I see she's doing some fitness thing, so I'm going to ask her about it, right? Like, they may have interest, but they also are not looking to be sold on anything. So you control that. Wrap it up though and say, it's been great chatting with you. Glad to hear that you're doing well. Have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you soon. Because that closes out the relationship, and it opens up the door later to really go back and actually send them a genuine invite that said, I'm still thinking of you, or I'm still like wanting to be your friend. And remember that when you're hey girling someone, the point is actually not to invite them, but to actually see if they're a girl that you want to hang out with, where you're like actually seeing, are you still cool? Are you still someone that I want to communicate with? And then also remember, and this is something I tell people all the time, it goes into the whole, like, you don't have to feel like you have to keep the conversation going. If you message someone and you're like, hey, oh my gosh, it's been 10 years. How have you been? Like, I see you've had a baby. What's new in your life? And they're like, yeah, thank you. Baby's great. Like, glad to hear from you. And that's it. All you say back to that person is, so glad to hear things are well. Talk to you soon. Maybe I'll run into you someday. Don't try and keep it going, because you've done your job. You've put your name in front of them. You've put the personality in front of them, and they're good with it. Now they're going to start to see you on their newsfeed, and they can pick up whatever they want from it. They can pick up the information they want to hear about. So that's kind of your warm market. The cold market, those are the people that you don't know. The people that you are legit out of nowhere messaging and saying, hi, we don't know each other, but I thought you looked cool. Honestly, guys, I think there's so much value in literally just admitting that you don't know who the heck they are. And I do that all the time. And I think that there's a couple things to keep in mind. One, power in numbers. Not everyone's going to respond to you, for sure. Like, you have to know that. And it's nothing personal. It's just that person either didn't see your message, or they're like, I'm not into finding new girlfriends. That's okay. You don't want that girl on your team anyway. So don't get hung up on the girls that don't respond. The girls.
Can I interject on that really quick? Because this is something that I don't talk about and I don't hear us talk about enough. I've done that, and I've messaged people, and then I go back to like invite them, and I realize that they've unfriended me. And then you go and you're like, nope, not there anymore. And it happens, but we don't talk about it. And so I just want to like put that out so that it's going to happen to you, because some people are going to be like, they'll see you pop in the newsfeed and they'll be like, I don't like you. I don't like what you're saying. And they unfollow you. So it happens to everybody.
And who knows, too, like, we can look at it and be like, oh my gosh, she unfriended me, or she didn't respond. It's something I did. Her best friend could be a Beachbody coach, or maybe she's tried Beachbody and it didn't work for her, or maybe she's like heard of it. She has a company that she's a part of a different MLM, and she by obligation can't do what we're doing. Like, we have no idea what her story is. She just unfriended us, or she didn't respond, and that's okay. And I think sometimes people look at like some like higher up coaches and they think, oh my gosh, if you have so much luck with Hey Girls and no one ever responds to me. The fact of the matter is, guys, I sent out like 27 friend requests over the last couple days, and 3 people accepted. It's not you, it's them, like, for sure. And that's okay. But we have to focus on the people that actually say yes. And you're right, Tanya, we don't talk about it enough, because we talk about, sending these Hey Girls and sending these invites, and, we talk about the success stories. I get unfriended all the time. You guys would be shocked. And people that know me, people from my own high school have deleted me. And I'm like, they're in my Teamsy. And I'm like, go over there. And I'm like, wait, I literally just saw her post like 3 days ago. So something happened in the last 72 hours that made her delete me. Like, and it'll be sometimes after I even comment on someone's post. And then they're like, screw this girl. She's, it happens all the time. But the thing is, I don't care, because I'm like, I want to focus on the girls that like want to be my friends. Like, I'm not going to go out there and try and like hang with the bullies. So it's okay. Like, don't get ever hung up on that. Don't second guess yourself. Like, you have a strong tribe of women around you for a reason. Like, there's a reason all of us didn't unfriend each other, kind of thing. So focus on that part of it. But when you do like message somebody out of the blue that you've never met before, I am a big advocate of just being honest of where you met them, like where you found their name. And so my typical go-tos are something like, hey girl, you popped up on my people you may know and you looked super familiar, but after I friend requested you, I realized we don't have any, like we've never met before. You look super cool though, love your profile, love your cover. You know, I say something that I love about them. And then it's like, do you live around the Seattle area? That's pretty much my go-to. And even if I can see on their little info blog that they live in like Colorado or something, I still say, do you live around the Seattle area? And I will get that response back from the people who want to respond that is either engaging, like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. You actually look pretty familiar too. That's why I accepted your friend request. But no, I don't live around Seattle. Like I live in Colorado or whatever. And we can kind of engage with each other and sort of talk. And then I'm going to wrap up the conversation. And I typically end it with something like, it's been great meeting you. I'm always down to meet you girlfriends. Your profile looks awesome. I can't wait to see more pictures. Or something that like really compliments them and says, I just love meeting new people. And I close it down. The other people that if I'm like, I've had people that respond back and they, we just have that like back and forth. It's really simple. Another go-to for me is, hey girl, I saw that you're in like the underground winos group that I'm in. We should totally like hang out sometime. Or, I'll like say something really random. Like I see that we're in the same group together. Love your profile. Your photos seem really fun. And I have a couple screenshots of this. But I just keep it simple. I compliment them. I tell them where I know them and I ask them a question. And then I just wrap up the conversation from there. So that's really the value of the hey girl. The other thing to keep in mind is if you hey girl someone and they don't respond, that's still value because they still probably saw your message and they saw the personality in that message. And chances are they clicked over to your profile, they saw you were a normal human, and they just didn't respond. But now they're going to see you on their newsfeed. They're going to start following your story. They're going to see what's going on in your life. So you still did your job. The point of the hey girl, again, is either to try and connect with them and see if there's somebody you want to vibe with, or just put you in front of them. You want them to see your posts. You want them to see like what you have going on in your life. So that's kind of like the value of the hey girl there. And don't get yourself nervous about it. Like it's just, what would you say to a person if you bumped into them at a coffee shop? It's that same tone, it's that same message. And again, don't copy and paste someone else's script. Make it your own. Use those scripts as ideas, as ways to be like, okay, that makes sense. There was one other thing I was going to say about hey girls, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, the other thing is if you do message someone and you love their profile, if you really are like, oh, this is my niche girl, add them to a Beachbody or a list on your Facebook list of people. Do you guys do those Facebook lists? Okay, so add those people so you remember to go back to them and engage with their page where it's like, hey, I'm liking all your stuff and I'm commenting on all your stuff. So you still stay in front of them and they're still seeing your stuff. Just like a little tip I think is really important. So after the hey girl is the invite. So I've made it very clear, do not invite someone when you're in the first conversation with them, even if they ask you. And it seems so like backwards to say like, no, don't take the bait. But again, you want this to be about the relationship. You want this to be about them, you guys, you getting to know them, and you want to know enough about them, whether it's from their profile or that message with them, that when you do send them an invite, you have a value add invite. Like it's actually saying, I think this would work for you because. And so one of the things that I always like to think about with Beachbody and coaching and things like that is that this business is not about us. It's not about us making sales. It's not about us getting Success Club. It's not about us making money or anything like that. It is a company and a business that we're out to find solutions for other people. To say that we have found something that works for us. We found a fitness program that works, a nutrition plan that works, and a drink that we love. It is amazing. It's solved all of these problems that we've had. We want to introduce you to that too. We want to help you change your life by offering you this solution. You can't do that for anyone unless you know enough about them. So it can be something like when you are thinking of that invite, what do you know about that girl? And why, truly ask yourself, why do you think she would benefit from what I'm about to offer her? So maybe your invite looks something like this, like, hey girl, it was great chatting with you last week. It's funny, I'm actually in one of these accountability groups and I have a ton of moms in my group and they were all raving about the fact that they love doing workouts at home and their kids can get involved or they can do it during nap time. And I see that you take your kids to the park often. I know you said, little Johnny is really rowdy. How's like your gym routine? Have you ever thought about doing a fitness accountability group like this before? That's a valuable invite. That is saying, like, I literally thought of you because of this reason, and here's why they could work for you. It could also be something like, hey, love, like, I know that you just had a baby, so I can imagine, like, things are pretty crazy. I actually have a couple moms in my group, and they were talking about how much they loved being able to work out while their child was napping, and it really helped them lose the baby weight. Not sure if you have something already going on, but how have things been at home? Like, have you been able to find time to work out? Another value added. For me, like, my story with a lot of girls is, hey, like, I know that you probably, because what my story comes from is I was really into the gym. I worked out every day, but I would have to get up at 4 a.m. to make it to the gym in order to work out before work, and then shower at the gym and then go to work. And that sucked. That was miserable. So my offer to a lot of people is like, hey, like, I know you're super active, so I'm not sure if this is up your alley at all, but I have found that I really loved working out from home. Have you ever, like, do you struggle getting to the gym? Have you ever thought about doing something like this with me? And it's really just talking to the girl that's like my niche girl and saying, I have a solution that works for me or that has worked for other people that seem in line with what you might need. And the cool thing is they can say no. They have that power. So, like, don't hold yourself back from inviting someone because you're scared that they're going to be, like, offended by what you have to offer, or that you're like, what if they think I'm trying to sell them something? If they think you're trying to sell them something and they don't want to do it, they will just say no. Like, all is not riding on that one person to say yes. And so I think it's really important to just go out there and say, hey, this works. Like, if you're still on this call, like, you're clearly here because Beachbody has, like, made an impact on your life. You love the products, you love Shakeology, you love this team. Why hold anyone back from that or take away anyone else's ability to tell you no, or to, like, even hear about what we have to offer? And so I think there's a lot of value in just putting it out there about why you think things are important. And I'll show you guys a couple of examples of how I go about inviting. But another good one, with Country Heat coming up, if you're from the Seattle area, that Watershed just happened. I went to people and said, hey, I saw you were just at Watershed. A, super jealous, but I was in Nashville, so we were both probably wearing our country boots. B, just started this new country program. It might be up your alley. Like, if you love country music, you're going to love this. Like, have you ever thought about it before? And it brings in, like, a whole different network of people. The other thing that I get a lot of times with inviting, like, questions that I get from people is, when is it too early to invite someone? Or, like, I don't have a challenge group coming up for, like, 6 weeks. When should I invite? And my theory on it is, and this is not to say that this is the only theory, but my theory is that there's never a bad time to invite someone, because you never know what's going on in their life at that time and what's coming up in their life. And so, 2 things. If you invite someone, even though if you don't have a challenge group coming up for 6 weeks, you have no idea how long that conversation is going to take with them. They might have a lot of questions, or that time that you invite them is not the right time for them to join. Or maybe they're so desperate for something that they will join right then and there, and they will do it on their own without a challenge group. Like, there's no harm in just planting the seed. And what I do a lot of times is, when I'm sending out that, hey, I thought of you, it's really just something as simple as saying, hey, girl, so, like, I know we've talked about these groups before, or, hey, like, I was just thinking of you the other day. I'm going to have a challenge group coming up here in a couple months or a couple weeks. Just thought of you, wanted to see if it was, like, something on your radar. And just planting that seed. And some people are ready to go, and they go right then and there. I have a girl right now that I literally invited early July, and we talked, and we're still talking about the group and about the plan and about all of this. And she finally told me, she was like, I'm definitely in, but I'm not, like, I'm on disability, and I'm not going to be back at work until, like, the middle of August, so I can't do anything until then anyway. And I was like, oh, cool, okay. I'll check back in with you in August, like middle of August. And so if I had waited in my head, like, well, I want to wait until the perfect week of July to invite her because I don't have my challenge group starting until this week of August, I would have probably missed out on her. But I just kind of went rolling with it. So there's no harm or, like, strategy to when to invite. Now, there's definitely value in kind of, like, stacking your months to do, like, heavier hey girls in maybe the beginning of the month and heavier invites in the end, or whatever makes sense with your challenge groups. For me, my challenge groups start at the beginning of the month. So I spend a lot more time talking about my programs and talking about my journey and talking about that in the beginning of the month and doing a lot of hey girls, so that when the end of the month rolls around, I have a lot of people already lined up to invite. But even when I'm in my hey girl phase, if I've already messaged someone before, I'm just going to plant the seed. I'm just going to send them an invite and say, hey, I don't have anything happening until next month, but I thought of you for some reason and kind of wanted to give you a heads up this was coming. And half the time, they end up joining anyway because they're like, yeah, this sounds great. And they don't feel pressure. There's no time. There's no like, I need you to buy this by this day. And what this also does is if you have this momentum always going, if you constantly have something in the works and people that you're talking to, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket so that if somebody does tell you no, you're not like disappointed in them that they didn't buy it by a certain time, therefore you didn't get in Success Club. So for me, like if I am like, oh my gosh, 3 people told me yes, so I'm gonna stop inviting, and then the end of the month rolls around and one of those people tell me no, what is my reaction to her? It's gonna be disappointment, which does not leave her with a good feeling, and she's not gonna feel comfortable coming back to me. But instead, like this July girl, I was able to be like, oh my gosh, no worries, let's touch base in the middle of August. When you're back at work, I'd rather you buy this like when you're able to versus me like pressuring you into buying it at the end of the month because I'm worried about my Success Club points. But it was okay. I have so many conversations going. So constantly just keep that momentum rolling and keep those hey girls going. The other thing is a kind of a flow. So there's obviously not like a black and white, like you hey girl and then you message, or you hey girl and then you invite, you hey girl, then you invite. But what you also want to keep doing is that if you invite someone and they tell you no, don't leave that relationship. Keep them on your radar and go back and hey girl them again. And then you can invite them again and then hey girl them again. And there's so many people in my network that I have hey girled at some point in my life, the first hey girl ever. And then I went back, and I said, hey, I thought of you and I thought this was great for you or whatever. And they told me no. And I was like, we talked through it, we figured out why it wasn't a good time for them. And then maybe I go back again and I say, hey, I know right now, last month was a good time for you, but wanted to let you know I have a group coming up, keep you in the loop. Is now coming up a better time? And if they still say no, I might go back a few months later and hey girl them and just say like, hey, oh my gosh, like I saw you posted that you got a puppy the other day. Like what kind of dog is he? And I just bring them back into my life because I want them to know that I care about them as people. And that will come through in my invites too, because I'm going to plug into my invites why I think it's a solution, but I'm also going to keep touching base with them from like a relationship standpoint, asking them about their kids or their pets or their significant other or the vacation that they're going on. And I just keep that relationship going and then let them know always what's going on for challenge groups. And at some point or another, they usually come back around because when the time is right for them, they are comfortable reaching out to me because they know I care about them as a person. And so if you look at someone, you're like, well, I feel like I've already messaged all of my people and I've already invited all of my people. Go back and message people again. Go back and hey girl all of those people you've previously invited that told you no so that you can keep that relationship going. Does that kind of make sense how you want to do that? Okay. And then the last thing is with follow-ups. You guys think this is your business. Like you are the CEO. You own this business. You have to take that seriously and let people know I take my challenge group seriously. I take that commitment seriously. I'm not going to let anyone walk all over me. I'm not going to be wishy-washy and be like, oh my gosh, please let me know, but I'm sorry. I don't want to like bug you or anything. Like, no, I'm going to tell them straight up, hey, like just wanted to check in and see if you were still interested. I'm closing out spots this weekend and there's girls that want in this group. If you're not in, that's okay. But I need to know one way or the other. Let me know by the end of this weekend. And I'm really straight up with people about that because to me, if you were like trying to get into a class, let's say like whether it's an educational class or a fitness class or whatever, and you have the registration complete but you haven't paid yet, that professor or that like instructor or whatever is going to say, hey, are you in or are you out? Because there's people on the waiting list here and we need to know by this date or we're letting in those waiting spots. Like they're not going to be like, oh, today's the last day, just kidding, tomorrow's the next day, just kidding again, next Tuesday. Like, don't let people, like, walk all over you. Be strict with kind of when your closing dates are so that people respect that, too. And you want people that are going to come into this committed, excited, ready to go. Those make the best challengers. And so the other thing is, like, the follow-ups. One thing I wanted to add, just to go backwards a little bit here. What I was going to say with the people, too, with the invites, those people that are, like, ready to go, even if you don't have a challenge group coming up, what you can also do with those people is let them know, hey, even though I don't have a challenge group coming up for like 4 weeks or 5 weeks because one just started, you're going to get your program early, but you can definitely dive right in. You and I will kind of do one-on-one accountability. And the cool thing is that when the group starts, you're already familiar with the workouts, you're familiar with the meal plan, and you can really kind of like lead the group there and be an inspiration for people. And that leads to amazing coaches because then they come in and they feel awesome, they feel confident. And then you're like, dude, that was awesome. Do you want to run on your own? And so just kind of like keep that in mind as another reason why it's never too early to invite someone, kind of thing. So going back to the follow-up thing, what I do, and I think this might even be one of the questions, but so my like structure of follow-up, so if I'm in conversation with someone, I've invited them, they've said yes, whatever, it's like a tell me more yes or an absolutely I'm in yes, but they've said yes to some degree, and we're having a conversation. If they just don't respond, if I ask them a question about something and they don't respond to me, I give them the rest of that day and all of the next day to respond. If I still haven't heard from them, that next morning, so that like 1.5 mornings later, they're one of the first people I message, and it's something as simple as, hey girl, just wanted to check back in. I know sometimes things get kind of crazy, but wanted to see if you had some more time today to finish our conversation, or is now a good time to keep talking? And I love that approach because it kind of just says, it clearly gave them time. It's, a little over 24 hours. And it just says, hey, do you have some time today to finish our conversation? That sets the bar of what I'm looking for out of that conversation. I'm saying, let's set a time and we're going to close this out. We're not going to sit here and go back and forth for the next 3 days. Or is now a good time? So that way, what ends up happening is they message me usually and they'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot to respond to you. I'm actually at work today, but I get off at 6. Excellent. I will message you at like 6:15 and we can finish talking. What that does is puts them in the mental space to talk that evening, and they know that we're going to be going back and forth for however long it takes, but they're there in front of their computer, I'm there in front of my computer, and we're talking. So it really kind of sets up that conversation piece. And you can even do that in regular conversations. If you're noticing that there's some lag time, like between if you message someone and it's like a day later and then a day later and whatever, you can say, hey, I imagine that you're probably super busy, but I know we have a lot to talk about. Do you have some time this week that we can really kind of sit down and chat about this? We don't have to keep going back and forth hours and hours later. And I do that a lot with people. So it really sets that tone that says, I want to talk about this. And I know you're serious about this. And this is why, because I know you. I know why you're interested. I know why this is a solution for you. And it's saying like, I'm serious about this too. So I think there's a lot of value in just holding that bar a little higher of saying, let's figure out when we're going to talk about this. So you're also, as a business owner, not sitting there on the couch being like, oh my God, when is she going to message me back? Like, when you're going to talk to her next. So I think that there's a lot of value in that. If I do that, so we're talking and then I give her that, that rest of that day, all the next day, the next morning I message her and she still doesn't respond. I do it. The last message I'll send her is on the last deadline day. So it's going to be something like on a Friday saying, hey love, I know I've messaged you a couple times, wanted to see if you had some time this weekend to chat. This weekend is actually going to be the last time to sign up. I really want to make sure that people get their packages in time. If you're not interested or if now's not a good time, no worries. As of right now, I'm saving you a spot, but I know I have a couple girls that would love to jump in who are ready to go if now's not a good time for you. Either way, let me know by end of day Sunday and we'll figure it out from there. And that just says, even if I don't have someone that's waiting, because I never have a waiting list for people, but it does say I have people interested and I need to know if you're in or out. Because what it does is it does entice a response. It either has them come back to me and say, oh my gosh, you're right, I'm so sorry, things have gotten crazy, and they'll say, now is not a good time. Or they say, I'm absolutely ready, can we chat on Saturday or whatever? And then we can finish the conversation. What happens if somebody says, you know what, so sorry, now is not a good time? I'm like, no worries, just to kind of get an idea, tell me a little bit about what's going on. And I bring it back, and I want to know what's going on in their life, figure it out. And if they say something I'm moving right now, I'm packing my house, and this is one of my examples I'm going to show you, I'm right in the middle of crazy life, and I know it's not a good time for them to do a challenge group, I will let them walk away. And I say, totally get it, girl. If I was in the middle of moving and selling my house and changing schools and all of this, I don't think I commit to a challenge group either, but I know that these are your goals. So why don't we plan to visit this when things have settled down a bit? Would next month be better for you, or when would be a good time? And then they tell me, honestly, I just had this happen to me in July, and somebody said, honestly, September, I'm in for your September group. And I was like, perfect. Good luck on your move. We'll touch base at the end of August and start talking. And so now when the end of August rolls around, I will message her, and the first thing I'll say is, how did your move go? I'm back in the relationship. I'm figuring it out. And then I invite her to that next group. So you have to be comfortable letting people walk away, and they're going to have so much more respect for you because they're going to be like, she gets me, and she's clearly here for my needs, my interests. She's here to support me. So that's kind of the big gist. I'm going to see if there's anything yeah, I think that's kind of like the big things I want to talk about. I do have a couple examples I was going to show you guys if you're interested in some screenshots. Does anyone have any questions though right off the bat before I kind of jump in? I was going to show you I have 6 screenshots I was going to show you. Okay. Now, I'm not the techie person here. This is Tanya.
Let me make you a host so you can share your screen.
Oh, I think I can. It's letting me do it.
Can you?
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. So hopefully this works. I just have a lot of tabs open. So first and foremost, how I talked about earlier with avoiding the conversation. This is what one of my coaches, so I wanted to show you guys this one. So can you guys see this template thing here? So this was my original hey girl to her. Hey Jordan, thanks for accepting the friend request. I'd seen your name on the likes from a post I did earlier and didn't realize we were friends on here. She went to high school with me. How have things been for you, miss? Are you living around Seattle now? Blah, blah, blah. She responds, sounds like your Beachbody coaching is going really good. That's awesome. And then, oh, very good. How do you like me sitting? Yes, it's been great. Random thing that worked out. Asked her about her job. Are you still at Boeing? What do you do? Glad to hear things are going well. So I'm not going to jump into oh my gosh, Beachbody is so awesome. Join me. No. Second, this is the continue the conversation. And she asked, again, how's working for Beachbody? So this was her second follow-up. How's her, she brings it up again. And I give her a little bit more here. And this is what I love. And you guys, I hope you do this. Working for Beachbody is really awesome. It's cool being part of so many people's transformations. You can't beat the lifestyle. Actually started for while I was working full-time at corporate, plugging in. I totally get you, corporate world. Our team is actually growing quite a bit right now if you know anyone who'd be interested in checking it out. AKA, I'm not inviting you, but if you have any friends that are interested, I'd love to chat with them. Because what that says to her is I'm actually interested in our relationship, but I'm also letting you know we're hiring if you know anyone. And then she ended up responding, and I was like, sounds great, girl. It was so good chatting with you. And I actually finished the conversation. Notice when this is, November. Now, it's totally my bad on not actually being responsible and going back and inviting her. But look, she didn't sign up as a coach until the middle of March. So you can imagine we talked a lot. Let's see here. I see a chat. What do I do? Oh. Okay. I don't know how to work this. So that's an example of how really avoid the conversation. That's kind of, I think, a good example here. Here is, let's do Hey Girls for a second. So these are a couple random Hey Girls that I've done. So Hey Girls is super random, but I was clearing out some Facebook friends, organizing some stuff, and I totally came across your profile. I see you have a bunch of friends in common from the Renton LHS area, but can't quite figure out if we're in high school at the same time. You look so familiar. I think I'm just drawing a blank. Love your vibe, though. And then totally told her what I love about her. Dragon's Tooth and Ice Cold Brewing is one of our favorite beers, not to be a total creep and quota status you're posting anything. So just kind of being really normal. That's what I would say to her. If I saw her wearing an LHS sweatshirt, I would be we have things in common. So it's just being normal. Get out of here. Can't click on my tabs. How do you get out of here? Zoom. Here we go. Okay. Here's another Hey Girl. So this was the super you popped up my people you may know thing, but I can't remember if we met before, and then called out a couple friends we had in common, and then not to be a total creep, but your cover photo is gorgeous. That ring, hello sparkles. Totally something I would say if I saw a girl with a flashy wedding ring. Nice to finally meet you. Maybe we'll learn one of these days. So it was just it wasn't even that. That one wasn't even a question, but she responded, and we had a good Q&A there. This is one of my examples from the Underground Winos group. I don't know if you guys can read that. It's being blocked a little bit here. But these are a couple of just Hey Girls. Do these make sense to you guys? And I can send you these screenshots too. So here's a couple examples of invites. This was one of my Country Heat ones, and this was more direct. This is a very good example of a direct invite. This is totally random, but I wanted to extend the invite. I'm being part of a new exclusive group, and it's for Beachbody's program, Country Heat. Told her exactly what it is, and then for some reason I have it in my head that you've posted about liking country before. I could be totally wrong. Either way, I thought it'd be fun to connect and rock it together. Does that sound fun for Yali? And then boom, hit her with something I saw on her profile. Love the new business cards. Her and her husband started a business together. So it's a personal invite, but it's also just really direct. It's something that I feel she would like, and I'm going to tell her exactly why. It's an online setting with a bunch of other crazy and busy girls like us, and that she likes country music. This was another one. Called out something that I saw on her profile. I know, and this was one that I went back and invited her like a second time. I know last time we were chatting, you had noticed that I'm a fitness coach, but I wanted to reach back out to you and let you know about an upcoming accountability room. It's not Orange Theory, but it's a private online group for a bunch of ladies committed to working out, posting selfies, blah, blah, blah. And so it's just kind of like letting her know. And this was a little bit late in the game because I had a challenge coming up. So I just simply said, I'm opening up and filling spots over the weekend, so definitely wanted to let you know. So kind of gave her a timeline. So these are just, these are just kind of like scripts that I use that are like plugging information. And then last one, this is somebody that I knew through Andy, which if you guys have significant others, creeping on their girlfriends, like from school, is a great way to do things. But I know we're creeping on it. So she had called out in the previous message, like, because I had told her, I was like, oh my gosh, I love your shirt or something. And she's like, I totally creep on you on Facebook. Like, I love a fellow creeper. So I kind of called that back into attention. I know we were totally creeping on each other a few months ago, and was wondering, have you ever been interested in checking out one of my online groups? I was just thinking about you randomly. I was thinking it'd be so fun to have you join sometime. I know you already work from home, so the gym might be something you like getting out and doing, but figured it was worth an invite. Have you ever done something like this before? You look like you're having a great time in life, and I'm loving all your photos. So also something like, I know she works from home. We talked about that. So I'm letting her know, I recognize that you may love getting out of the house to go to the gym, but also since you work from home, maybe you would like doing this. So does that do those invites kind of make sense how I like bring in the personal side? Okay. What was this one? Oh, this was so this is an example of letting people walk away. These are two different examples. I don't know if you guys can see it, but this was the move one. So I totally get it. If I was planning to move, buying a house, chasing my kids around, blah, blah, I'd be pulling around, doing a group like this timing. The good news is I run these groups often. So why don't we plan to hold off for now and get you in one in a couple months? I bet when your stress levels are down and you're feeling more settled, you'll be way more committed to your own journey too. When would be a good month to restart the conversation? Maybe in September or so, or whatever. It would be too soon. So just totally respecting her space there. Like, I knew right away that when she told me she was moving, like, that it wasn't going to work. So it's like, I get it. Like, let's not try and pressure this or try and object to you. Like, you're clearly, like, made up your mind. And calling out even, I bet when your stress levels are down and you're feeling more settled, you'll be way more committed. So just, like, giving her kind of that positive feedback as well. This one next I'm going to show you. So this was a girl, I friend requested her, and she actually messaged me first, which cracked me up. Hi, curious how I know you. So she clearly was like, who the F are you? Why are you requesting me? And I was completely honest with her. Hi, gorgeous. Actually, no, not at all. I was typing into Facebook to find another friend of mine, Nicole, last name you are, and those Facebook suggestions ended up clicking your name by accident. I saw you were a snowboard instructor and loved the cover photo and thought you looked pretty cool, so I figured, hey, I'll just send her a friend request. Totally random, I know. We were both from Renton, though. Where did you go to high school? I'm surprised we have no friends in common. Nice to informally meet you. Like that, if I got that message back from someone, I'd be like, oh, she's normal. Like that's totally like a normal thing to say. So, and she actually then later is actually joining one of my challenge groups here pretty soon. So it kind of like all comes back full circle. And now again, I'm sharing with you guys the success stories. Do not think this happens to me every time. I also got a message from somebody just the same like time frame that said, I sent her an invite and she said, are you a real person? Yes, I am. Like, I don't really know how to answer that. But, she was a total skeptic and she deleted me. So, these things happen. This was one. So this was one. Okay, so I'm going to explain the background on this. This is somebody who reached out to me and she straight up asked about the program and she gave me her objection. So this is a great time when you want to use feel, felt, found. So, and please don't pay attention to the names here, or anything like that. I was like, it's easier to screenshots. But hey, so I've seen your post about Beachbody and 21 Day Fix and got me interested. I've been kind of skeptical about it and was really need something that's going to proven to work and not just seeing stranger success. So basically, what can you tell me about the program? Now, I could have been like, oh my gosh, like this program's the best thing ever. I've lost this amount of weight on it. My challenge is so much fun. Like, you should really join and try and sell her on it. But instead, I want to know why she's been a skeptic. Why is she kind of like afraid of this program? So feel, felt, found. What's so funny is I was actually totally skeptical of it too at first. I don't know if you saw my post yesterday, but I was referring to that when I said when I first read my meal plan, I thought I was going to starve, but turns out I read it wrong. Because true story, I thought you only got one of each container each day. And I was like, I only get one of these? Like, who do you think I am? And then that's awesome to hear that you're thinking about it and being thorough with your research. What are some things that you're looking for in a program like 21 Day Fix? I wanted to know what she was thinking, And so she went on to tell me that she was looking to lose weight and that she's like kind of a yo-yo dieter and she gets bored with things really easily. So she wanted to know why this was. So knowing all of that, I was able to talk to her about like why she wasn't going to get bored with this, how there's advanced programs she can graduate with. If she falls in love with the at-home workout program, that there's other things that she can do afterwards. I see there's a chat. Oh, bye, Megan. So, you know, it was kind of like I wanted to get on her side. And she's actually the one that's going to be joining in the middle of the month. So notice when we started talking, we're restarting our conversation on August 20th because she's the one that she needed more time. She needs to it's kind of like an interesting thing that comes like full circle, but really wanting to get on her side with it. This is an example. This is something that one of my new coaches did, and I have to share it with you guys, and she gave me permission. This is an example of what not to do. So she had said, I've been sending invites like crazy, and I'm not having any success with it. And I was like, and you guys do this with your coaches. I said, send me screenshots of your invites. I want to see what you're doing. And let me just show you what we're working with here. She started with this. Hey lady, how are you? It's so amazing how fast the girls are growing up. They're so cute. Love keeping up with them on Facebook. So I'm just shouting out to a few friends and family this morning to see if anyone is interested in jumping into my fitness group that's starting on the 1st. Not sure if you followed my journey or not, but it's been amazing to say the least. I've been doing Beachbody's 21-day fix program since the beginning of June. Lost 7 pounds in my first 21 days, and I'm now 12 pounds down. It's been so fun. I've found a true passion for helping others reach the goals. Let me know if you'd be interested. It's all done from home in a virtual group on Facebook, and we work out with share each other, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh no, no wonder. She's focusing all on herself. I love Beachbody. I've lost weight. It's been cool to work out from home. If she's messaging someone who has no interest in losing weight, has no worries about time or like community or anything like that, like they're not going to be sold on this invite. But don't worry, it gets better. I love her so much. She's kicking ass, so this is why it's kind of funny now. This is an old one. Hey, I was thinking about it, but I have no money. Well, there's a lot of different price ranges, and the good thing is the good thing is once you have your workout, you don't have to purchase it again. Shakeology, if you wanted to do it, which I would recommend, is a monthly expense that you would have, and there's like 3 different options for that. Think about it. The 21-day fix is on sale this month, and you can get the whole program plus portion control containers and Shakeology for $140. What? Like, don't do this, you guys. Like, this is my example of what not to do, because that is like just word vomiting on people, and she means so well, but it's like people are going to read that and be like, I don't even know what I'm working with. So this is kind of like why I'm so focused on like bring it back, ask questions, get to know them, figure out like why they want it and what their reason for joining is, and then you can help them understand why your solution is the right one for them, whether it's time, whether it's community, whether it's all these different things. And then
Sorry, can I just interject on that? So if you're like me, where you're just like keep it real and like you're very honest and you're very blunt, like when you first start as a coach, you're very tempted to just do this because you're like, my type of personality is like, yeah, I want to know what it is. Like, just give it to me straight. But it's almost like going to a bar and a guy just coming up to you and not introducing himself and just being like, hey, I think you're really pretty. I want to go on a date with you because I'm a millionaire and I love horses and I like romantic walks on the beach and my mom thinks I'm a really great guy and all my past girlfriends like loved me. So you should definitely go on a date with me, right? Like, you should just do it. And like, here's how much money I have in my bank account and here's my GPA. And it's just like, it's too much. So it can feel like you're being deceptive by like not giving it all away at once, but it's really not. It's just not coming off too strong and like knowing the game of like talking to people because it's not about you, it's about them. So just want to throw that out there.
I love that example. Love, love, love it. And so, and like in the real, like what you would also do if you're on a date is if you wanted the relationship to work, you would ask them questions about them. You would say like, what are you looking for? What kind of family life do you have? What do you like to do for fun? Like, what are you struggling with? Like and then you would find if those things match up with what you have to offer. And I mean, it's a perfect example. So it's really, and again, like that coach in particular, that was a little bit ago, but it was so funny when she was like, I'm struggling. And then I was like, send me screenshots. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a fun one. So it's a good example of just like really bringing it back. And I'm sure that you guys don't do this, but it's just a good little reminder. So those are my screenshots I wanted to share. And then I know we're running a little late on time. So I wanted to quickly answer your guys' questions. Are we good right now, though? Are people feeling good? Okay. So one of the questions was, how do you find people that want to build the business and not just become a discount coach? I think a big part of it is so 2 ways that you can do this. One, pay attention to your challengers. Like if there are people in your challenge groups that are like absolute rock stars, they're the first person that's posting, they are consistent every single day, they like or comment on other people's stuff. Like those are for sure prime coaches, because those are the people that you approach and say, hey, you've been totally helping lead the pack in this challenge group. I love your participation. I love how much you're loving it. How are you feeling? You know, ask them the questions. How are you feeling about it? Are you loving it? Are you loving Shakeology? Blah, blah. And if they're like, this is great, I've never had anything like this, I love this, then you can say, girl, do you want to run one with me? Like we can totally partner together on this. Or you can gauge their vibe. Two options. I give people the option of doing it with me. Like, why don't you invite in a couple people and you can kind of help me lead the group? Or you can totally find like 5 people and do this on your own. You know, have that conversation with them. But that's one way. If you identify rockstar challengers, encourage them to be coaches. B, it kind of comes down to what you're putting out there as an opportunity. That's really how you can find those builder coaches. I think I never, ever, ever do a cold coach invite. I never message someone and say like, hey, you know, I think you'd be a rock star coach. Because I think that you have to fall in love with the product to be an advocate of the product. And you can only fall in love with what we do if you see and experience a challenge group. So of course there's value in saying, you know, hey, I think you'd be an amazing person, an amazing coach at this. Why don't you join me in a challenge group and see if you love it, and that sort of thing. Like definitely there's value there. But you're not going to go into it and be like, I think you can quit your job and be a business builder. Like, you know, because they're going to be like, what? No. But it also, like, take a look at yourself and kind of what you're putting out there. If you're only talking about fitness, you're only going to attract in people who need fitness solutions. But if you can also incorporate the business side and the opportunity side, then you attract in those people that want something different in their lives. You're going to attract people that like see the value of the income or see the value of the community and the team. And I think about myself often where, you know, if I was seeing someone post only about fitness, I was a girl that already had a routine. I was going to the gym every day. I wouldn't have paid, you know, knowing what I know now, of course I would have, but at the time I would not have paid to be in a fitness group because community groups were not my thing. I was already an avid gym person. There would have been nothing that attracted me in. But if I saw a girl talking about her lifestyle and the business and like the experience she was having and that it was incorporating fitness, I would be like, okay, you have me interested. Like, okay, I'll join this group and see what it's about because I'm kind of interested in the business side. I'm interested in like how you have this going on. So take a look at your social media and kind of see when you're out there posting about the business and the opportunity, are you using terms and are you using like things that would attract in a business builder? So for example, like if you're going to talk about like a team call, maybe call it like a conference call, or that you're responding to emails, or that you're, you know, you have work hours, or that you're setting aside time to build your business. Like you have to talk about those things to bring in those builder coaches. And then just, again, pay attention to the girls that you're talking to. If you invite in someone who's super excited about challenge groups and they love people, those are coaches. Those are people that you can identify. And I think, too, that it comes with numbers. And I know I use that term all the time. It's a numbers game. I have close to 300 people in my downline, and we have maybe 20 builders. So if you only have 6 coaches on your team, you might have like half a builder. Like it's not going to be something where it's like, how can I get my team to build? You have to go out and attract more people and more people and more people, because most people are going to live in the comfort zone. Most people just want a discount. So you are going to have to find those like, you know, diamonds in the rough and things like that, no pun intended. But, you know, you just want to be bringing in more people and more people and more people. And the stronger you get, the more confident you get, the more like vision you have in this business. Talk about your vision. Talk about where your team is going. Talk about what you're excited about. And that brings in those people that want to be on that train with you, kind of thing. Does that kind of answer the question there a little bit? Okay. And give also, another thing you can do is give your discount coaches an opportunity to build without them realizing they're building. So I tell my discount coaches, or I never call someone a discount coach, but tell my team, hey, I have a challenge group coming up. Does anyone have someone in their life they want to invite in? Boom, discount coach all of a sudden is like, actually, my sister wants to join. Cool, sign her up. Oh, wait, now you just realized that you got like commission off that? Are you sure you don't want to do this? So give your coaches opportunities to build without scaring them away from building. Don't make it about, all you have to do is message 5 people a day and listen to personal development and invite. People are going to be like, F that, no way. But if you're like, hey, do you want to like invite people to join? They're like, I can do that. I can invite 3 people to join your challenge group. So, you know, baby steps with some people. When you have an off day, what do you do to pump yourself up and send out invites? To me, I live by the motto, which is kind of a motto that changes regularly, but I try to live by the motto that says, like, you have to have the perfect combination of discipline and passion in this business, because passion is not going to be there every single day. And on the days that passion doesn't show up, you have to have the discipline to do it anyway. You have to let action lead emotion. And I think that's that's a valuable concept, because how many days do we not feel like working out, or we don't feel like sending messages, or we don't feel like doing it? If you take action, positive emotion follows that. Even on days that you don't feel like working out, if you do it, then you feel amazing. You feel accomplished. You feel good. You feel glad that you did it. If you don't feel like sending messages, but you let action lead you and you do it anyway, at the end of that day, you feel so much more accomplished. You don't feel anxious that you're like behind on your to-do list. You don't feel like you have so much piling up on you, or that you're having to constantly start back at square one and you're not doing like break shift. So it's hard, because it's like, what do I do to pump myself up? I listen to personal development for sure. And then I tell myself, like, if you have like a book that you love or anything like that, but if you need like just like a quick snippet of personal development, I love the podcast Entrepreneur on Fire. I think it's John Dumas, I think is his name, and Chalene Johnson. But John Dumas, he does like 25 to 30-minute podcasts every single day, and they're great wake-up podcasts, because what he does is he brings on an entrepreneur every time and just interviews them, and it's the same 6 questions. So you know what's coming, you're expecting it, but you get such good information. It's a great way to start the day. You're hearing from all these entrepreneurs that are at different levels in their business world and things like that. So love it. But even if I still don't feel like it, I have to think about, if I do it, how am I going to feel? And if I don't do it, how am I going to feel? Or if I do it, where does that put me in my business? And if I don't do it, where does that put me in my business? Like, truly, Andy and I want to open a brewery someday. Like, we have goals. We have income goals. We have like life goals. We have all these things that we want. If I don't message someone, that's one more day that we are that much not closer to our goals. And so it's kind of like, it's the mental strength that you have. I do dance parties a lot. Like, I legit, Andy can definitely like attain to this in the morning, because you guys, I'm not a morning person. If I could snooze until noon, I would. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, Miracle Morning is my jam, but I love sleep. I love it. So when I get out of bed, I literally am like, eyes shut, and I'm like, dance party, let's do this. It's going to be a great day. And I always tell myself, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day. Because that to me is simple. I'm not like, I'm going to message 18 people today. Like that, I'm like, no, F that. Like, it's overwhelming. But I'm like, it's a great day. Like, I'm going to have fun today. And I just like mentally prepare myself, and then I have discipline. I absolutely sit down and I say, I have to do this. Like, I get to do this. I want to do this. And at the end of the day, guys, if you're like sending 5 messages, that's only going to take you 30 minutes. And I guarantee you, if you don't do it, you're going to spend like 6 hours thinking about how you didn't do it, or you don't want to do it. Like, that's such a boring way to spend your day. But if you're like, I'm going to spend 30 minutes knocking it out, that's awesome. You spend 30 minutes knocking it out, and you don't spend any other amounts of your time of your day thinking about it. So like, think about the time ratio too, of like the amount of time you think about having to do it and wishing you did it and like regretting that you didn't do it, and the amount of time it takes to actually do it. Like, that's awesome. So that's kind of, those are a bunch of different ways that I do it, but that's kind of, I think, a well-rounded way how I stay consistent 365 days a year. That said, I don't stay consistent 365 days a year. That's a lie. I don't work 7 days a week, you guys. That's unrealistic. I didn't build this business to be a slave to my business. I take Saturdays off. I take Sundays off a lot of times. So I work really, really hard Monday through Friday so that I feel good taking Saturday and Sunday off. And so there's those two. I work to not work. That's kind of my thing. I work to not work. I don't want to sit here and constantly thinking about what I have to do later. I want to knock shit out so I can get on with my day. So does that kind of answer the question in a very obscure way? Okay. How do you follow up after radio silence, and how many times do you follow up? So did I answer that already? How to follow up after radio silence. So, if I've sent a hey girl, nothing, an invite, nothing, another hey girl, nothing, I'm just probably never going to send them another message. There's only so many times you can ask someone. And then, how many times do I follow up? I follow up as much as I need to, though. It's also if I send a hey girl and an invite, she says no, then I'm going to send a hey girl. And then I'm going to send an invite. She says no, I'm going to send a hey girl, and then I'm going to send an invite. I'm going to keep inviting her as long as she's still responding kind of thing. Because at some point in her life, she's going to say yes. And so, and it's also like, you know, I'm not always like one-on-one, but I'm going to hey girl message or whatever, you know, I'm going to keep in contact with her until she literally tells me to F off, like, or deletes me, basically. So, because I can tell you from experience, I've had so many people that I've come back to and I've invited 3, 4, 5 times, and it's the 6th time that they said yes, or they come to me finally and they say, okay, I'm ready. So it just, you have to give yourself the grace of time. Do you send out those I'm taking you off my list messages after years of silence? I don't get that question. Who asked that?
So Brittany Crosby went over, like, there's like a top coach who will say, like, after a bunch of radio silence, be like, hey, you know, you're not responding to my messages. So I'm going to go ahead and take you off my list. But if you ever need someone to listen to you, or, you know what I'm talking about? Which message? Yeah.
I don't, but it's only because, well, I don't know, there's probably multiple reasons. I'm not organized enough to pay attention to the people that aren't responding to me. I'm like, that to me is such a waste of energy. I want to pay attention to the people that are responding to me. So if someone's not, I'm not going to like threaten them into like paying attention to me. And that's what I mean. Like, I'll eventually find that person. Like, you know, if I hey girl that I invite or whatever, and I haven't heard from them, when they come back up on my message list and I see that they haven't, maybe I'll just like comment on a few of their photos and then I move on. I think what will eventually have to happen for every single one of us on this call is your Facebook friend maxes out. So maybe that's where the motivation comes from, is if like your Facebook message, if your friend list is max out and you're like, I need people on my Facebook that are engaged. There I could see some value. I'm not there yet. So no, I don't do that. Let's see. What kind of advice can you give coaches who are just starting out with coaching who don't have a ton of challenge group experience? My advice, again, it goes back to, I think to be a successful coach, you really have to be in love with the product so that you're an advocate of the product. So I don't think that you can coach until you've done a challenge group. And then once you've done a challenge group, we all learn as we go. So I think that there's so much value in just showing people, don't overthink this. Like, aim to find 3 to 5 people to fill your challenge group with challenge packs and try and go emerald and do that month after month after month. And I think that's kind of the simplest way to put it without overwhelming someone. Get them set up with the right resources of personal development, and that's kind of it. I think if you're a brand new coach that you joined to build a business, but you still have to do a challenge group, you can encourage that person to say, hey, look, you're going to experience this for the first time. Try and invite 2 to 3 of your friends to join so that you can see what this is like with them, and you guys can kind of go through it together. But I wouldn't put too much pressure on them. But also I wouldn't like undervalue them. I can't think of the word I'm thinking. But once you do one challenge group, you can do a challenge group. Like, you don't need to do like 3, 4, 5, 6 challenge groups before you can run your own. So that fine balance of just get them in one, have them do it. They can invite a couple friends if they want to, and then send them on their way and have them run one on their own, help them fill it with 3 to 5 people, and that's kind of it. So those are all 5 of the questions. I think I'm like way over time here.
It's fine. We usually go about an hour, so.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you are amazing. Like, I wrote down so many notes and so many nuggets, and I was watching everyone's faces, like, as you were talking, we're all like just soaking it in and like loving it. And all of those screenshots were so, so helpful. If you don't mind sending those, if that's not a big deal,
yeah.
Love that. I know a lot of us are visual and like love that kind of stuff. Dude, you are an angel. Like, you're freaking amazing. Like, I'm watching Deanne's face and like Ashley, like we're all just like, yes. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Like, I'm so pumped and like energized. Like, I just want to go and like invite my face off now and just share this with everybody. Like, you are amazing. I love you so, so much. Thank you. If anyone else has any questions, you guys know how to reach Jacki, but thank you so much. I love you. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
No, thank you for inviting me on here. It was great to see you guys, and I'm happy to help. I'll send you guys over the screenshots and everything.
Cool. Thank you.
Yay! Bye, you guys.
Bye, you guys. Night.
Bye.